I welcome all of you for this second session of indirect taxes. Yes. So, how are you all doing? Did you enjoy yesterday's session? Did you follow yesterday's session? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello, all of you. How are you all doing? I, Chartered Accountant Pratik Neve, welcome you on behalf of MEPL. I hope you have liked the video. I hope you have subscribed to the channel and also clicked the bell icon. So yes, how are you all doing? Let me know, and quickly let your friends also know that we are starting with today's session. So yes, a lot to do in today's session. So let's see. Good evening, all of you. Very good evening again. So yes, waiting for all the friends to join, waiting for all students to join. Then it is going to be a very interesting discussion on GST. Yesterday we have seen basics of GST. Today we will dig a bit deep in further basics of GST. Good evening to all of you. Yes, very good evening, Chandrakant. Yes, let me know who else has joined. Very good evening to each and every one of you. I hope you have liked yesterday's session. So let's start with today's session. So quickly, what had we done in yesterday's session? Who will tell me? Very basics of GST. That is, GST is an indirect tax. We have understood. Its levy is on supply. That means the charge of GST is on supply. The taxable event is supply. Supply of what? Supply of goods, supply of services, or supply of both. Isn't it? GST is destination based, consumption based tax. Isn't it? Destination of consumption matters. Destination of consumption matters. We have seen that even though GST is collected from the supplier, but its burden is always on customer, isn't it? That's why it is indirect tax. Burden is on customer, but it is paid to the government by supplier. We had seen a nice chain for that, where A sells goods to B sells goods to C, and C sells goods to D. You had seen in that diagram that how the whole tax is finally, burden is on D, but tax is paid in the chain by A, B, and C. Yes, and while ending yesterday's session, we had seen, that, why there is a need of GST law, isn't it? If there were earlier indirect taxes existing, like VAT, excise, okay, then why do we need GST at all? Okay, so that's what we were discussing yesterday. So I hope you had understood this example of McDonald's that I gave you. Yes, did you understand the example of McDonald's that we discussed? Quickly let me know in the chat window that whether example of McDonald's was clear to you. So what happened in case of that McDonald's example? That the MRP of the item was different in different states. Why it was different in different states? Because of differences in the rate of VAT in the states, isn't it? So for uniformity, it was necessary to have GST, isn't it? For uniformity, it was necessary to have GST. Pre-GST, there was no uniformity in the prices. So GST was introduced, and now there will be uniform rates of taxes. So obviously what will happen is there will be uniformity in the prices as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see other reasons why GST was introduced. Do you understand cascading effect? What is cascading effect? What is cascading effect? Cascading effect is tax on tax, isn't it? Cascading effect is tax on tax. Now I am talking about pre-GST. Pre-GST, what used to happen? Okay, pay attention carefully. Pre-GST, what used to happen? I am talking about a chartered accountant, okay, or say I am talking about a CA coaching classes, and I'm talking about pre-GST. Okay, so before GST being introduced, when a CA coaching classes is giving service, when a CA coaching classes is giving service, it will charge service tax. Do you agree? It will collect service tax from students. Do you agree with me? Yes, it will collect service tax from students. Now, when it is collecting service tax from students, say it is purchasing, this coaching center will have to purchase laptop. So it is purchasing laptop, it is purchasing papers, it is purchasing stationery. Now on all these purchases, which tax is it paying? On all these purchases, it is paying VAT, isn't it? So on purchases, it has paid VAT. Do you agree that on purchases it has paid VAT, but on outward supply, means on its supply, it has to pay service tax? My question is very simple. Can VAT be set off? Can VAT be set off against service tax? Can VAT be set off against service tax? Tell me, guys. Can VAT be set off against service tax? So obviously that set off is not possible. That set off is not possible. So what's the problem because of this? Say for stationery items, 10,000 rupees was paid, and on this, say VAT at 10% for simplicity was 100 rupees. So 1100 was expense. Entire 1100 rupees was taken as expense. Okay, and suppose on outward supply, means on service given, say service tax collected was, say on fees of 5,000 at, assume 10%, 500 rupees. Now this set off is not possible, so directly this supplier paid, coaching classes paid 500 to government. No set off possible. In short, if a service provider is paying VAT on goods, set off is not possible. Vice versa, if trader is getting some services and paying service tax on those services, his output tax is VAT. So to pay that VAT, he cannot use service tax input. Okay, so what happened is no set off in this manner. So what happened in this case? Full 1100 became expense, isn't it? So no cross utilization of credit, possible in earlier tax regime. No cross utilization of ITC. No cross utilization of ITC. But today in GST, so no cross utilization of ITC, but today in GST, is set off possible? if I'm selling goods, but of course to sell those goods, I will need some services. So tell me, so there was no cross utilization in VAT service tax. That is pre-GST. There was no what? Cross utilization of ITC. Now please tell me, in GST, is cross utilization possible? In GST, is cross utilization possible? In GST, what will happen? Same coaching class purchasing laptop, say it purchases laptop of 1 lakh plus say 18% GST. So it pays 1 lakh 18,000. This 18,000 rupees, which is ITC, it can be used. This can be used to pay output tax. This can be used to pay output tax. Agreed? So someone tell me what is the net cost of this laptop for this business? What is the net cost of laptop for this business? So for this business, they will not take 18,000 as cost. Their net cost will be only 1 lakh rupees. Do you agree with me? That so this way there will be no cascading effect, because cross utilization means a service provider is charging output GST, but on the other hand he is purchasing goods, suppose, on which he is again paying input tax. This input tax of GST can be set off against output tax of GST. So we can say that cross utilization of ITC is possible in case of cross utilization of ITC is possible under GST regime. Agreed? Do you agree with me? Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's go ahead. So that's what I wanted to tell you, that because GST getting introduced, there will be uniformity. We discussed yesterday. There will be uniformity. Then there will be uniformity in rates as well as uniformity in procedures. Further, GST will avoid cascading effect. Okay, because utilization of ITC of goods is possible for tax payable on services and vice versa. And obviously, as I told you, that pre-GST many taxes existed. Now all those taxes are merged in GST. Okay, so I hope you are very much clear with this. Okay, Arjun, one question is coming up, that are we supposed to revise inter-syllabus before studying final, or is it totally different? I'll tell you one thing, that we are going from scratch. We are going from very basics. So it's absolutely okay even if you don't revise syllabus of, second level, that is intermediate level. Agreed? Yes. Very good. Then GST, is applicable with effect from 1st July. That you understood. Now, please understand one very critical point I want to tell you. Have you observed that petrol prices across India are different? Petrol prices across India are different? Yes or no? If you check petrol prices in Maharashtra, check petrol prices in West Bengal, check in Goa, check in Uttarakhand. You do this exercise. Try to check petrol prices in these 4 states. Okay, petrol prices in these 4 states will be different. I guarantee you. Okay, I guarantee you they will be different. Why are they different? They are different because of element of taxes. They are different because of element of taxes. On petrol, you don't have GST. So, as far as petrol is concerned, no GST on these fuels, right? No GST. So, what happens? There are different taxes. There are different taxes state-wise. So, what will happen? The prices of petrol will be different in different states. Agreed? Understood? So currently, what has been kept out of GST? Alcoholic liquor for human consumption. We will learn this again when we, study GST in sequence of the sections. Yes. So alcoholic liquor for human consumption is permanently kept out of GST, and petrol, diesel, natural gas, aviation turbine fuel, means fuel required for planes, and petroleum crude, these fuels have been kept out of GST. Okay, they are temporarily kept out of GST. Just give me 1 second, adjusting the screen to read your chat. Just give me 1 second. Yes, now it is adjusted. Well, it is well adjusted now. Yes. Okay. So that's exactly what happens. If GST is not there on, any of the item, that's what exactly happens. So these goods will have different prices in different states. Got it? These will have different prices in different states. Agreed? Yes, very good, very good. So yesterday we also discussed that whether to charge CGST or SGST, or whether to charge IGST, it depends on whether it is intrastate supply or whether it is interstate supply. Okay, that we discussed very well yesterday with examples. So that is what I wanted to discuss till this point. Now we are going to very critical thing. I think that for any student, it's very important to understand body of the law which is studying. Okay, for example, now you are studying GST. So we should know GST law is not only about understanding CGST Act, isn't it? So we should understand provisions from different acts, correct, and different sources to understand GST law. So law is a broad concept. Law is a broad concept. Law will have various acts, and law will have notifications and circulars. Getting the point? So once you start analyzing various notifications, circulars, you will get idea of a particular issue in the law, isn't it? So when we talk about GST law, what exactly knowledge you should have of? So you should have knowledge of enactments made under GST, enactments made for GST, that is CGST Act, SGST Act, UTGST Act, IGST Act, and GST Compensation to States Act. Getting it? So how many enactments? There are how many enactments? There are 5 enactments. So we are going at so basic level. So obviously it's okay that at second level you have all, it's okay that you are studying the subject with a blank mind. Absolutely fine. So these are the 5 enactments. Why CGST and SGST Act? Okay, why CGST and SGST Act should exist simultaneously? Because when I am talking about intrastate supply, when I'm talking about intrastate supply. Yesterday, we were trying to understand meaning of intrastate supply. Intrastate supply means within same state. Yes or no? Intrastate supply means within same state. What it means is location of supplier and place of supply is in same state. I hope you remember our yesterday's example that there was one person going to Gujarat and having food in the restaurant in Gujarat. Tell me quickly, do you remember the example? So, restaurant in Gujarat is location of supplier and place of supply is also Gujarat. So, in such case, there is CGST plus SGST. Agreed? In such case, there is CGST plus SGST. Yes or no? Quickly, let me know in the chat window whether you got this point or not. Waiting for your response in the chat window. So, jaldi bol, quickly tell me in the chat window. So, provisions for levy of this CGST will come from CGST Act, and provisions for levy of SGST will come from respective states SGST Act. Agreed? And if this happens in union territory, okay, which union territories? Any union territories other than Delhi and Puducherry. Okay, if this type of interstate supply, we call it interstate only. Even if it is in union territory, we call it interstate only. If it happens in any union territory other than Delhi or Puducherry, then there will be CGST plus UTGST. Agreed? There will be CGST plus UTGST. So, needless to say that UTGST will come from, levy of UTGST will come from UTGST Act. Agreed? Yes. Very good. Levy of UTGST will come from UTGST Act. So, what happens with supply within Delhi and Puducherry? If supply is, say, within Delhi, or within Puducherry, if supply is within Delhi or within Puducherry, then please remember Delhi and Puducherry have their own state legislatures. These two union territories have own state legislatures. Because they have their own state legislatures, okay, what will happen? Even if location of supplier and place of supply both is in Delhi, so obviously this is within union territory of Delhi. Yes or no? This is within union territory of Delhi, so this will be called as intrastate. And even if Delhi is union territory, we will not charge CGST plus UTGST but chargeable in this case will be CGST plus SGST. Agreed? Agreed? Absolutely same will happen even if both are in Puducherry. Location of supplier as well as place of supply, even if both are in Puducherry, absolutely same will happen. There will be CGST plus SGST. Yes, no? Are we all on same page? Are you getting the points that we are discussing? So, these 5 enactments, quickly let me know in the chat window. Are we all on same page? Are you getting it? Yes. So these 5 enactments are basically body of GST law. Okay. Then many times the act cannot make detailed provisions. Okay. Act cannot make detailed provision. So what act will do is act will say word as prescribed. So when act uses the word as prescribed, you have to understand where it is prescribed. It is prescribed in the rules. When we talk about prescribed, then it is prescribed in the rules. Okay. So for example, the forms for filing of GST returns, they will be as prescribed. So they will be in the rules. Then act many times will use the word as notified. So when act uses the word as notified, then you have to understand it is according to notifications. For example, the rates of GST for different goods and different services, they are as notified. So where it is notified? In the notifications issued by central government. And then talking about circulars. Circulars means these circulars are actually issued for giving clarification. For giving clarifications. Many a times what happens, there is ambiguity. Ambiguity means some type of confusion on various issues. Okay. Now, to do away with that confusion, Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs comes up with some circulars to give clarifications. And finally, decided cases by obviously Honorable Supreme Court, they become law of land. So obviously that also is body of law. So quickly with one emoji in the chat window, let me know, did you understand body of GST law in India? Yes or no? Quickly let me know. And if you express it with emoji, it will be wonderful. I am quite sure you have liked the video and subscribed to this channel. Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead. And let's now do. See, what I believe is you should know the main act thoroughly to understand any law. So in this case of GST, the main act is CGST Act. Okay. So we are going to make a detailed section-wise index of CGST Act. So when we make this section-wise index, automatically we are going to run through the syllabus. Okay. So let's make a section-wise index of this CGST Act in your notebook. So someone was asking me yesterday that please sir, let us know when exactly notebook we have to make notes. So yes, this is the first instance where you have to make notes in detail. Yes, so are you ready with notebook? Let me know quickly. Are you ready with notebook for taking in depth the sections of CGST Act? So we are going to do CGST Act section wise. So when we do it section wise, you become expert in that. You are on the path to become expert in that. So we are going to do it section wise, all important sections. Of course, not all the sections, but all important sections. Yes, no? Are you yes or no? Are you set? Are you ready with notebook, pen, pencil, scale, whatever you want? Are you ready with that? We are going to do CGST Act. We are going to know CGST Act section wise. So what happens? It becomes easy to grasp and we can give cross reference of sections. Okay. So as we discuss and as we write each and every section in the notebook, I'm going to tell you its importance in your syllabus. Agreed? So let's start. Let us start with section 7. What is section 7? What is section 7? Section 7 is scope of supply. Section 7 is scope of supply. Okay, so friends, I promise you, it is my personal promise to you that by the end of the class, you will also talk in terms of sections, subsection, clauses, subclauses. Okay, it is my promise to you. So it's, not only about I talking about section numbers, but by end of the batch, you will also quote section numbers of CGST Act. Okay. So this is just the beginning. Okay. So section 7 is scope of supply. In scope of supply, you know why supply is important. Supply is important because supply is the taxable event, isn't it? So in scope of supply, you're going to study what you're going to study in scope of supply. You're going to study what is supply, exactly what is supply and what is not supply. Agreed? You're going to study what is supply and what is not supply. Okay. So I can tell you subsections also, but let's limit to the sections only as of now. But when we go in depth of that section, obviously we are going to analyze it with subsection and clause. Yes. So what is supply and what is not supply will be discussed in section 7. Speciality of section 7 is you have to read section 7 with schedules. So there is schedule 1, schedule 2 and schedule 3. What is schedule 1? Okay. Schedule means what? Schedule means list. LIST, list. So schedule 1 talks about activities that constitute supply even if without consideration, activities that constitute supply even if without consideration. Agreed? Yes, that is schedule 1. What is schedule 2? Schedule 2 is certain activities are supply of goods but not supply of services, and certain activities are supply of services but not supply of goods. In short, schedule 2 is about clarification of certain activities, that okay, as to supply of goods or services. Okay, so there are some activities like you go in a restaurant and have food. So what has a restaurant done? Has restaurant given supply of goods or has restaurant given supply of services? Guess what it is. When you go to a restaurant and a restaurant gives you the supply, restaurant serves you food, what it is? Is it supply of goods or is it supply of services? Yes, anyone can tell me what it is. So obviously it is bit ambiguous because as a consumer I'm consuming food and I'm also taking benefit of the ambience. So government says don't worry, we will tell you in schedule 2 whether it is supply of goods or supply of services. Okay, and schedule 3 is negative list. What do you mean by negative list? Negative list means certain activities are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. Negative list means certain activities are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. Agreed? Nor supply of services. Very good. That is your schedule 3. So section 7 will be read with these schedules. Okay, I hope you have got it. Then we are going to do section 8. What is section 8? Section 8 is taxability of mixed supply and composite supply. Taxability of mixed supply and composite supply. Okay, now what exactly is mixed supply and what is composite supply? Okay, I will give you example. You see if you can connect to it. Suppose I have booked a flight ticket. I am sitting in the flight and it's a ticket of say Air India, and Air India serves me food. I had not booked the food specifically, but they have given food complimentary. So which supply is Air India doing? Air India actually is doing two supplies here, isn't it? One is supply of air travel, another is supply of food. Correct? So now this type of supply, you know, is called as composite supply. Why composite supply? Because in this, the main supply is what? The main supply is air travel services, and supply ancillary to it is of food. Getting it? So how exactly this will be taxed is discussed in section 8. So today, obviously, we are just taking overview of sections in the Act. We are going to go in its depth as we go ahead. And what is mixed supply? It is your friend's birthday. So what you do is, you go to a gift shoppy and you purchase one package. That package consists of wallet, perfume. Okay, say it consists of wallet, perfume, pen. Now in this case, you don't know what is the main supply. Okay, you don't know what is the main supply, but you paid say 2,500 rupees for this package. So this is called as mixed supply, in which none of the supply is main supply. Okay, so how now it will be taxed? You have paid 2,500, consolidated for that package. So now how it will be taxed, that is discussed in section 8. Is it clear? Guys, quickly let me know in the chat window whether this is clear to you. What is section 8? I'll be very happy to read your response on this. Okay, let's go ahead. Then, levy and collection. Section 9 is levy and collection. Section 9, any act, this section, levy section is very important. So for CGST Act, it is section 9. Okay, you know that levy is on important event, that is supply of goods or services or both. So that all will be described in section 9. Section 10. Section 10 is composition levy. What is section 10? Composition levy. I hope guys that you're taking it systematically in notebook. Okay, because I mean, as we go ahead in syllabus, you will understand importance of today's session. So this is alternate levy. Okay, this is alternate levy, and this levy is optional. Means sometimes what happens is, as a supplier, I don't have to pay GST as per normal provisions. So in that case, option is given to me to go under this composition levy. Okay. Section 11. Section 11 is for exemptions under GST. Section 11 is for exemptions under GST. No need to tell you the meaning of word exemptions. Exemptions means, yes, for time being, no GST on these goods or services. So, no GST on certain goods, or services for time being. That is called as exemptions. Agreed? So, section 11 gives right to government to exempt certain goods and services for time being from GST. Agreed? Okay, okay. So this section will be read with notification number 12 by 2017 CT. CT means central tax. Agreed? Yes, no? So, yes, it will be read with notification number 12 by 2017. Then only you will be able to understand what? Exemptions. 12 by 2017 is for services. Exemptions for services. Section 12. Section 12 is time of supply. What is section 12? It is time of supply of goods. Section 12 is time of supply of goods. Okay. What is meaning of time of supply? Time of supply means on happening of what event we can say that supply is complete. Okay, that is the meaning of time of supply. So time of supply of goods discussed in section 12. Section 13 discusses time of supply of services. Time of supply of services. Did you get the point? So on happening of which event we can say that particular service is complete. That is time of supply of services. Then section 14. Section 14 for time of supply I will write TOS. TOS, that is time of supply where there is change in rate of GST. Okay, time of supply where there is change in rate of GST. Okay, so this is time of supply for both goods as well as services when there is change in rate of GST. Okay, then, so friends, in short, 12, 13, 14 is time of supply. 12, 13, 14 is time of supply. Agreed? Yes, no? Friends, awaiting your response in the chat window. Awaiting your response in the chat window. Okay. So, next, section 15. Section 15 is about valuation. It is about valuation under GST. Okay, means how to calculate assessable value. How to calculate assessable value. Assessable value means value on which GST will be charged. Value on which GST will be charged. How to calculate that is discussed in section 15. Okay, you have this in detail. Actually, all sections which I am telling you, you have those in detail. Section 15 will be read with rule 27 to 35 of CGST rules. Okay, so different issues in valuation are discussed in rule 27 to 35. Yes. Then guys, then section 16. Section 16 is input tax credit. We will call it as ITC. We have seen yesterday concept, very basic concept of ITC. So that ITC, what are its eligibility? Who can take ITC? Its eligibility and its conditions. What are the conditions to take ITC? Those are discussed in section 16. ITC eligibility and conditions. Section 17 is ITC apportionment and blocked credits. It is ITC apportionment and blocked credits. Means in certain cases ITC is not allowed. Now what exactly are those cases in which ITC is not allowed? Those are discussed in this blocked credit. And apportionment means sometimes you will not get entire ITC. Okay, so that is discussed in apportionment. Then comes section 18. Then comes section 18, which is ITC in special circumstances. Which is ITC in special circumstances. Which is ITC in special circumstances. Okay. Special circumstances means, earlier you were not claiming ITC because maybe you were unregistered, but now you have to take registration compulsorily. So there is a transition from being not registered to getting registered. You might have some stock in your, you might have some stock with you. On that stock, you might have paid GST. So of that GST, in what way you can claim ITC when you get registered? So this is discussed in 18. And of course, many more issues. As we go ahead, we will discuss them. Section 19 is ITC in case of job work. ITC in case of job work is section 19. Okay. 20 is input service distributor. ITC in case of input service distributor. So these sections will be discussed at length. I hope that you are keeping record of this and compulsory. I could have easily typed it and given to you, but no, I want you to write it once along with me. All these important sections, you should get friendly with them. Only way to get friendly with them is present them in your notebook, write them in your notebook. Okay. Then section 22, not doing 21, only important ones we are doing. So now from 22 starts sections for registration. Yes. So 22 is persons liable for registration. In what? Obviously, persons liable for registration in GST. Agreed? That is 22. 23 is persons not required to obtain registration. In short, 23 is exemption from registration. So persons not required to obtain registration. So obviously we have to study whole GST in depth. It has huge weightage in your syllabus. Okay, so persons not required to obtain registration, of course, in GST is 23. Tell me honestly in the chat window, who is keeping the notebook well? Who is writing all the provisions? Let me know in the chat window. Okay. Section 24 is cases where registration is mandatory. Cases where registration is mandatory. So in this you will find 12 cases. Of course, under GST. Okay. Then 25 is procedure for registration. It is procedure for registration. Agreed? It is procedure for registration. 26 is deemed registration. What is 26? 26 is deemed registration. Deemed registration means what? Deemed registration means if you are registered under SGST, it is deemed that you are registered under CGST, because obviously you cannot be having charge of only SGST. Along with SGST, CGST will follow. Yes. 27 is special provisions in case of CTP and NRTP, means casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person and non-resident taxable person. Let's call them as CTP and NRTP. Okay. 28 is amendment in registration. Amendment in registration means change in particular fields in registration certificate. So 28 is amendment in registration. Okay, so if you have to do any change in your registration certificate, 28 will provide for that. Twenty-nine is cancellation of registration. If you have to cancel your registration certificate, you will go to section 29. Further, your certificate can also be cancelled by proper officer suo moto. Suo moto means at his will he can cancel your registration certificate. So section 29 is cancellation of registration and 30 is revocation of cancellation. 30 is revocation of cancellation. Revocation of cancellation means, yes, the cancellation is stopped. Cancellation is revoked. Yes. By the way, 29, we'll also talk about suspension. Suspension of registration. Yes. So this is how your sections 22 to 30 deal with provisions of registration. Then 31. You know 31 is tax invoice. But it is not only tax invoice, I would call it as tax invoice and other documents. Okay. I would tell you 31 is also important. It is also important for understanding in detail provisions of TOS. TOS means what? Tell me what is TOS? TOS means obviously time of supply. Yes, so you have to connect 31 with 12 and 13. Agreed? Yes. Then what is important is 34. 34 talks about two more documents, which is debit notes and credit notes. Debit notes and credit notes. Okay. Then 35 talks about accounts and records under GST. 35 talks about accounts and records under GST. Accounts and records under GST. Agreed? Then 36 talks about retention. Means for what time you will keep these accounts and records. So 37 talks about, 36 talks about retention of accounts. Friends, then 37 to 48, I will tell you in bulk. 37 to 48 talk about GST returns. They talk about GST returns. Agreed, guys? With me till this point? Are you with me till this point? Yes. Then talking about 49. 49 is for payment of GST. Payment of GST. In this 49, most important is subsection 5. This subsection 5 talks about utilizing ITC, utilization of ITC to pay output tax, to pay output tax. Okay. Then 50 talks about interest for obviously delay in payment of GST, delay in payment of GST. Then 51 is TDS under GST. 51 is TDS under GST, and 52 is TCS under GST. Okay, TDS under GST and TCS under GST. Then, since we are talking about important sections only, I will tell you that from 54 to 56. Okay, 54 to, if we include other sections also, 54 to 58 in fact will be of refunds under GST. 54 to 58 will be refunds under GST, and 59 to 64, these all will be of assessments under GST. What type of assessments? Self-assessment. That means how the supplier himself has to calculate his liability and pay. Okay, that is self-assessment. And sometimes officer can do scrutiny assessment. So that scrutiny assessment also. Summary assessment. Sometimes according to judgment of the officer, assessment can be done, which is best judgment assessment. This will be done if the person supplier has not even registered under GST, but officer can see that he is not paying tax and he is not getting registered. So yes, in such cases also best judgment assessment can be done. And even best judgment assessment will be done in case of those persons who are not filing the GST returns, that is non-filers of GST returns. Okay, so assessments is covered in 59 to 64. Going ahead, 65 is audit. Okay, it is general audit. General audit means audit by tax authorities. It is audit by tax authorities. And 66 is something called as special audit. Okay, 66 is special audit. Friends, we have all these things in the syllabus. So today we are just getting used to the syllabus. Special audit. Then 67 to 72 is your inspection, search and seizure. 73 and 74 is, in what way officer can issue show cause notice and demand GST, which is, not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded. So 73 and 74 is, in short, we can say demand under GST. Okay. Then what is important? Important is 95 to your 106, which will talk about advance rulings, which will talk about advance rulings. Okay, advance ruling means if a person, supplier, is confused about applicability of few aspects of GST on him, then he may go to, advance ruling authority and ask for giving a decision in advance so that he can apply it in his case. Okay, then 107, mind you, to 121 is appeals. It is appeals under GST. Okay, so if assessee is not satisfied with any, notice or any demand issued by the officer, then he can go in appeals. So that appellate mechanism is discussed in 107 to 121. Then 122 to 138 is penalties and offenses. Is offenses and penalties. 122 to 138. 139 to 142 is transitional provisions. Transitional provisions means earlier those who were under VAT, those who were under service tax, those who were under excise, they have to now convert themselves into, they have to now come under GST. So those provisions are called as transitional provisions. So they will be covered in 139 to 142. Then 143 is job work procedure. That job work which you have seen in section 19. Its procedure will be discussed in 143. Okay, and 171 can become important. It is anti-profiteering measure. Anti-profiteering measure. Agreed? So these are important sections under CGST Act. Did you get them? Do you want a fair explanation of any section? Okay, sir, what are we going to study in this particular section? Let me know in the chat window. So accordingly, I can give you the explanation if you want for particular section. Obviously, as we go ahead, we are going to go in depth of each and every section. But still, if you want explanation for any section, let me know. Clear? Shall we go ahead? Last thing in today's class, last thing in today's session, today's class is which sections are only sections from CGST Act relevant? No. Some sections from IGST Act will also become important. Okay. What are those sections from IGST Act that will become important? IGST Act important sections. You know, levy and collection in IGST Act is section 5. But once you understand levy and collection in CGST, you automatically will understand in IGST. Okay, everything in IGST will remain same, except word used in CGST is on intrastate supply. Here word used is interstate supply. Okay, so what we will start in IGST Act is section 7. Section 7 actually defines what is the meaning of interstate supply. Agreed? Meaning of interstate supply will be discussed in section 7 of IGST Act. 8 will discuss meaning of intrastate supply. Okay. 8 will discuss meaning of intrastate supply. And most important provisions in IGST Act, section 10, 11, 12, 13. Those are for POS. What is POS? Place of supply. Agreed? Place of supply. Section 10, 11, 12 and 13. 10 and 11 are for goods, place of supply of goods. 12 and 13 is for place of supply of services. Okay, you already know why place of supply is important. Place of supply is important because it decides, it along with location of supplier decides whether it will be intrastate supply or interstate supply. So how to exactly decide place of supply is discussed in 10, 11, 12, 13. If I talk about 10, it is other than in case of imports and exports. Other than in case of imports and exports. So no need to guess what will be 11. 11 will be, yes, place of supply of goods in case of imports and exports. Okay. 12 is place of supply of services, but where both, who both supplier and recipient of supply is in India, where both supplier and recipient of supply is in India. When either of the two is outside India, it is section 13. So where supplier or recipient of supply is outside India, then we decide place of supply of services according to section 13. Okay, then 15 is refund of IGST. Okay, refund of IGST. To whom? To a person who is a tourist in India. Refund of IGST to tourist in India. Yesterday, as we have seen that Dubai government gives a refund to their tourists, okay, on the goods purchased there. Same way, Indian government also gives a refund to the tourist in India, okay, on goods. And finally 16, which is zero rated supply. Zero rated supply means all exports. Zero rated supply means all exports and supplies to a unit in SEZ, Special Economic Zone. did you understand? So we have to do all these things in this batch as far as GST is concerned. And of course, then we are going to go to customs and FTP, foreign trade policy. So honestly tell me who all followed the session from the beginning and also maintained these things in the notebook. Let me know. I am eager to know that. Wonderful. So I'm happy that you have watched the entire session and followed it. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. It's our family MEPL channel. Yes. And obviously, if from fourth session you are attending, then you subscribe to the classes. Classes can be subscribed on the MEPL website. You can go to MEPL website and you can subscribe to the classes. Yes, as you go to the MEPL website, you will be able to see. Obviously, you can check out. We have got so many rankers and we want your photo here. We have got rankers C. You can check that. And if you go to MEPL website, in the courses CMA final, and you will find in the CMA final our course being listed here, exclusive English batch being listed here. So kindly share this information with your friends as well. Keep the channel subscribed and press the bell icon so you don't miss out on any videos and class videos and any other announcement videos. So thank you guys. See you in the next session on Monday at the same time, that is 6 o'clock.